The Boston Celtics were going for another title we didn't watch. And Chad, you say this was a laughable NBA Finals.
This may be the least interesting NBA Finals in my lifetime. We just had an NBA Finals with one of the biggest brands in all of basketball participate in, and we're seeing some of the worst ratings in NBA Finals history. What is the Caitlin Clark for the NBA? The player or rivalry that can actually get the American audience back watching their product. Anyone that I would say, okay, this is phenom status of young players, they're all foreign born. And we've seen time and time again that does not work with American audiences. I don't want to sound like this is death of the NBA, but I cannot honestly come up with a scenario right now that I see right in front of me that shows the way out for the NBA to get back a large percentage of the American audience.
Well said, OutKick. I was thinking the same exact thing. That's why I wanted to show you guys that clip before I gave out my solutions for how Adam Silver can fix the NBA moving forward. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about ratings of the NBA playoffs crashing to near record lows again. Even though the Celtics won the championship this past season, it was one of the least watched NBA finals in NBA history. With that statement being factual, it presents a major problem in the NBA as the Celtics are supposedly one of the biggest brands in the NBA compared to other NBA franchises. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. How should Adam Silver solve the ratings problem for the NBA? If I was Adam Silver, I want to unpack 5 solutions that I would have if I were him in order to solve the ratings problem in the NBA. The first solution that I have to this issue is to make the regular season matter. How does that work? Well, for starters, you could break up these NBA teams into divisions, create 3 divisions within the conference. Obviously, the NBA already has 2 conferences with the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, but within those conferences, you create 3 divisions in there, 5 teams each, since there's 15 teams in each conference, and you go ahead and divvy them up in divisions, and whoever wins the division in each of those divisions ends up getting home court advantage throughout the first round of the NBA playoffs. Guarantee them a top 4 seed or something along those lines. You don't think teams are going to be fighting harder in the regular season if it means they get home court advantage in the NBA playoffs? I certainly think they would try a lot harder if that were the case. Obviously, I think that you also got to find NBA players whenever they load manage, because these players love money more than anything else. And if they are on the verge of losing money, you don't think players are going to go out there on the basketball court and play harder than what they usually would do? I think they would normally go out there and play good basketball if they knew that fines would occur if they tried to low manage a game. Look, I understand not wanting to play through injury in the regular season, but there's a fine line between playing injured in the regular season and load managing, because you essentially don't care about the regular season whatsoever. I know the NBA has tried to install in a 65 game minimum requirement for these players to hit certain incentives and become eligible to win certain awards, but I think the NBA needs to take it a step further and start fining these players if they try to miss games on purpose in the NBA. Look, if you're injured, don't play, but don't make up an injury to skip out on NBA games. That would obviously make the fans feel a lot better about the players if the players actually cared about playing basketball games. That's the first solution that I would have to the NBA ratings issue. Make the regular season matter, because when you make the regular season matter, that's going to make the NBA playoffs matter even more. And in the regular season, you can create loyalty within your fan base, and the fans, if they're following the regular season, they're definitely going to follow the NBA playoffs. That's my first solution that I have for this issue. The second solution to this issue would be to market Anthony Edwards and Jaylen Brown as the faces of the NBA. Look, we all know that the NBA is going global as more time goes on, and I understand wanting to expand the game internationally, but when you make international players the face of the league, that is not going to be good for television ratings. You want to know why that's the case? Think about this from the casual fan perspective. And by the way, this is not my actual opinion. I'm just talking from a casual fan perspective. I'm a diehard basketball fan, so I'm going to watch the NBA no matter what. But from a casual fan standpoint, are you going to really be able to relate to Giannis Antetokounmpo? Are you really going to be able to relate to Nikola Jokic? Are you going to be able to relate to a Joel Embiid or a Luka Doncic? No, 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 and no. You can't relate to these international basketball players, because what is your audience? it's mostly American. What do American audiences want to see? They want to see people that they can relate to. That's why the WNBA has gained popularity in recent memory. It's because they see Caitlin Clark out there busting her ass on the basketball court, which is relatable for the average American. And obviously, there isn't really a relatability factor in today's NBA. And the reason why I say they got to market an American superstar as the face of the league is because you're targeting an American audience. When you're targeting an American audience, you want the face of your sports league to be an American player. I'm not saying that Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Luka Doncic aren't great basketball players, but what I am saying about those guys is that they cannot be the face of your sports league if you want your sports league to thrive. And this is not a basketball issue. Look at baseball for an example. In Major League Baseball, Shohei Ohtani is the face of baseball. You can ask Major League Baseball how they're doing in TV ratings the past 20 years. They've basically been irrelevant in my entire lifetime, and they've been going down the pooper as time goes on. You got to be able to develop an American superstar as your face of the league, and you got to make sure that American superstar is relatable and has a good personality where they can relate with the audience, and they got to have a little alpha male in them. That's why I said Jaylen Brown's got to be on that list. That's why I say Anthony Edwards has to be on that list. What do those two guys have in common? They have the alpha male personality. They're American, and they're also hard workers, and they're relatable to the casual fan, which means when you get these casual fans following the NBA, that's going to make ratings better in the long term. So that's the second solution that I have for this issue. The third solution that I would get for Adam Silver in this situation is to get a good, watchable villain, which means that obviously rivalries need to be created. What is the one complaint NBA fans have all the time? And by the way, they have a lot of complaints, but this is one of the main complaints that I have heard from diehard basketball fans. There just aren't enough rivalries whatsoever. I dare you guys to list me one other rivalry in the NBA right now that is huge news outside of Celtics Lakers, because right now there isn't really a team rivalry whatsoever. There's no rivalry week. There's no rivalries between teams. It seems like every team, they all love each other and they all want to team up with each other. And I blame LeBron James mostly for this. LeBron James tries to team up with other superstars instead of competing against other superstars, which in turn has left a bad taste in the mouth of casual fans. And obviously, casual fans want to see rivalries. You want to know why there's so many casual NFL fans? It's because there's a lot of rivalries in the NFL. And it's not just the NFL that promotes rivalry week. You look at college football, you look at college basketball, they have rivalries all the time. That's why ratings in their respective sports are pretty good compared to the NBA. But when you talk about the NBA, the biggest rivalry in there right now is between the players and the fans, because right now the players don't like the fans. They can't relate to the fans whatsoever. And I know for a damn fact that the fans cannot relate to the players whatsoever, because these players want to make more money than ever and then do less work than ever. That's why you look at how most of the NBA, they don't really play any defense whatsoever, because they don't want to give any effort and they want to get paid max dollars while doing minimum amount of work. Obviously, a lot of Americans cannot respect that. I have trouble respecting that myself, and I'm a diehard basketball fan. If I'm already having trouble respecting that as a diehard basketball fan, what do you think the casual fan is saying in their mind? I'm going to go ahead and boycott the NBA, which means the NBA needs to get people that actually care about their sport. And obviously, I also say get a good watchable villain, because people like watching villains and superheroes going up against each other. Everybody in the NBA just seems really likable. Or if they're a villain in the sense where people want to protest your sport, calling you out, LeBron James. Obviously, the NBA needs to get a good villain somewhere. They need to get a good superhero in there somewhere as well. I think they need to create more rivalries, which means the third solution that I have for the ratings problem in the NBA is simply create more rivalries. Now, the fourth solution that I have for Adam Silver to solve this issue would be getting good TV analysts on NBC. We look at how TNT is basically ending its partnership with the NBA after the 2025 NBA season, and obviously they lost their rights to NBC, and we all know that NBC used to be really good back in the 90s, but we'll see what happens with the modern day version of NBC. And obviously NBA coverage on a television network matters a lot. You can ask ESPN if that matters or not. And speaking of ESPN, I'll get to them in a short moment, but I want to talk about NBC. I think if you're NBC, you got to hire good analysts. Don't be afraid to overpay for TV personalities personalities that know the game of basketball. Go ahead and hire Mark Jackson. Go ahead and hire Jeff Van Gundy. Go ahead and hire people who actually know the game of basketball very well, and make sure that these fans can relate to these TV analysts and talkers, and where they can say, wow, I'm actually learning the game of basketball. Could you imagine if NBC actually had good TV coverage of the NBA in the long term? That is going to make ESPN look absolutely foolish for the filth that is filled around the NBA when it comes to NBA coverage. So I think that's also another solution Adam Silver can use. Don't be afraid to overpay for media talent in NBC. And the final solution that I have for Adam Silver is to dramatically overhaul the ESPN crew. Go ahead and tell these ESPN executives to get rid of most of these analysts. Unless your name is Mike Breen or JJ Redick or Tim Legler, everybody else can go when it comes to talking about the NBA, because these guys don't know anything about the NBA whatsoever. You look how Stephen A. Smith, he's the face of NBA coverage, but he barely knows anything about his favorite team in the New York Knicks. That's why I call him Stephen A. Myth, because we all know that his whole life has been a lie. And obviously they can go ahead and get rid of Kendrick Perkins. That guy's one of the worst analysts I have ever seen in my entire life. Like I showed you guys earlier in the week, there was one clip where he talked about breaking up the duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. He couldn't even be more wrong. The sad thing is, though, that's Kendrick Perkins on an average day, because Kendrick Perkins knows nothing about the NBA. He knows shit about the NBA. And obviously, you look at how the rest of the ESPN talkers, they know nothing whatsoever. And these commentators on ESPN suck, all right? Outside of Mike Breen, they're all trash. JJ Redick, I like his analysis in basketball, but he ain't it as a commentator. He needs to be more of a podcaster. He doesn't have the voice for commentary. And as for Doris Burke, please get her off the screen. I can't handle listening to Doris Burke. I had to put the game on mute because Doris Burke knows nothing about the NBA. No disrespect to Doris Burke, but she ain't cut out to be on the #1 broadcast team on ABC. If she wants to be on the #2 team on ESPN, then I guess good for her, but she ain't good enough to be a #1 broadcaster because her knowledge of the game is clearly limited. She's not entertaining whatsoever. The NBA product in general is just not good enough whatsoever right now. It is mediocre, and it really shouldn't be mediocre because the talent in the NBA is really good. The talent and parity are at its peak right now in the NBA, yet less people are watching it more than ever, and that is because they are marketing the game wrong entirely. And obviously, as a result of that, the NBA playoffs crashed to near record lows again. Obviously, if you throw out the bubble year and the year after the bubble year, these were the worst ratings the NBA ever suffered in 2024. It was not good whatsoever. If I'm the NBA, I'm completely marketing my sports league differently in 2025 because that was not even close to good enough. I thought what the guy said on OutKick was really good. I thought what he said was factual and useful. Obviously, I think most casual fans in the NBA feel that way. If I'm Adam Silver, I'm begging you to listen to my advice and to the casual fans, because if you don't listen to us, ratings in the NBA are only going to get worse moving forward. So that is why Adam Silver should use those solutions in order to solve the ratings problem for the NBA moving forward. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to the Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran and that Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.